What's going on YouTube? It is Repulse back another video. In today's video, we have our match review for Chelsea nil, Crystal Palace nil. Yeah, pretty uneventful match. Obviously, not what Chelsea fans were hoping leading into the season game week 1. I think everyone was hoping and anticipating for a win. I know myself, I predicted a 3-1 win. I predicted a Cole Palmer brace, a Joe Pedro goal, and then a Mateta goal for Crystal Palace. None of that happened. There was no goal scored. There was a goal that was disallowed for Crystal Palace. It was a free kick that Mark he shoved Caicedo out the way of, which made it an easy shot for Eze to finish. Arguably, Rob Sanchez could have done better, but goal was disallowed. Crystal Palace did not end up scoring it again, and Chelsea did not find the back of the net once in this match, and it ended 0-0. Chelsea secure a point in game week 1 and head to West Ham into game week 2. So yeah, we are back. It is the good, the mid, and the ugly. Our match review series obviously wasn't there for the 2 preseason friendly games. I didn't really think it was necessary to do the good, the bad, or the good, the mid, and the ugly. You know, on preseason fixtures. But now that professional football is back, we do have the series back. It is time for the good, the mid, and the ugly. Starting out with the good, we have 5 players on there. We have Josh Achampong, who I thought was very good in defense. Obviously, I thought he could have spread the ball around a bit quicker. I talked about that on Jimmy Jim Jamsey's channel. He has a video coming out in the coming days where I collabed with him on. So if you do want to go watch him, his link will be down in the description of this video. You can go click on his channel. Video will be up in the coming days if you do want to go watch that and hear my opinions on the upcoming fixture. But yeah, I thought Josh was good. I think he could have sprayed the ball around a little bit quicker, but I do think in defense he was good and really handled Mateta well for being 19 years old. A couple of times where he got bullied. Obviously, Mateta is one of the most physical strikers in the league. I don't expect Josh to win that matchup every single time, but I think he won it, 10 out of the 12 times they went into head-to-head, so fair play to him for that. I thought was very good in the game defensively, and I think someone that, can play at center half. I do want Tossin to come back, and I do think he could be a starter when he does come back over Josh, but, for his first opening day start for Chelsea at the age of 18, almost 19. I do think he performed very well. Other than that, I thought Mo Cucurella was good. I mean, obviously, disrupt play, consistent, 7.5, 8 out of 10. Puts that in every week. Always going to be in the good category. It seems like never really going to be in the mid or the bad or the ugly. Excuse me. Mark Cucurella just a really, really good performer. That showed that consistency in the game against Crystal Palace. Played the full 90 drill. Hato did not come on. But Cucurella stayed on the full 90, looked to perform to a pretty good level, especially for being the first Premier League game of the season where he's coming off a 5,000-minute season. I thought he looked good. Just want to see him get the ball more in those advanced positions. Didn't really seem to get that, but the attack was not fluid, so, don't really expect him to do all that when he wasn't getting the service. I thought Rob Sanchez was good today. Or not today, it happened yesterday, but I thought he was good in the game. Obviously, had a couple of saves in there, but the main thing I want to talk about was when the ball was at his feet. I think he was pretty calm, able to play passes. Pretty simple passes, but at least he was able to play them. But I also thought he tried to jumpstart play very well. Um, I think there's multiple times where he tried to launch counterattacks, especially from goal kicks and stuff like that. Or when he collected the ball, he would just punt the ball forward and try to find an attacker up the pitch to latch onto the ball and create a small chance. Obviously, Crystal Palace is playing their usual low block, which is frustrating us. It was very evident that it was frustrating us. So, Rob Sanchez really tried to hinder their ability to get into position there by playing those long balls. So, I thought he had good ideas in doing that. So that's why I have him in the good category. Also good with his hands. Again, yes, could have been better with that as a free kick, but at the end of the day, that goal is disallowed, doesn't count. Caicedo was shoved out the way for that. And it affected Rob Sanchez's line of sight. It was kind of straight at him, but not going to blame him too much on that when there was clearly a foul right in front of him, which pretty much hindered his ability to see. But other than that, made saves in the match. Obviously, a clean sheet can't really put him in the ugly category. Could put him in the mid if you really wanted him to, but thought he was good in the game against Crystal Palace. Just hope he continues his form into West Ham, which I fully expect him to. I think the Club World Cup flipped the switch in him for some reason. But moving on to Esteval. Yeah, I was pretty blown away with him when he came on. I thought should have had a goal when the ball fell to him in the middle of the box. Obviously, dragged it a little wide, a little high. Just leading back, obviously a little off centered after trying to trap that ball with his chest. Just didn't fall to his feet the way he wanted it to, and ended up dragging it high and wide. But I thought it was pretty good when he came on, especially for an 18-year-old making his first Premier League appearance. Getting double teamed and triple teamed in that game already. but was also able to wiggle his way through the defense and created some half chances for the team to potentially finish. And I think Pedro Neto, if he was a little more patient with that header, would have made it 1-0 from that Esteval cross directly after coming on. But thought he looked bright, pressed well, looked good with the ball at his feet, and for being 18, making his Premier League debut, I'd say it was a very, very good debut. So definitely lands him in the good category. Other than that, we have Moises Caicedo, same thing as Cucurella, just consistent 8 out of 10s. Probably the best midfielder in the world, in my opinion. I absolutely love the guy. I love watching him. I think some of the tackles he's able to pull off are just like, how the hell did you do that? I mean, some of them I'm just in awe about, how the difficulty of the tackle and how he was able to, reach his leg around, uh, flex his foot, make a tackle on the ball. Did that multiple times in the game against Crystal Palace, and I missed that. It was a couple of weeks since I've seen that from Caicedo, obviously from the Club World Cup final. Absolutely immense against Vitinha, Neves, Fabian Ruiz. Didn't really try it all too much in the friendlies against Bayer Leverkusen and AC Milan. Obviously, to be expected. You're not going to go full force in friendly games, but it was good to see him back at his full force against Crystal Palace, and I thought he looked absolutely immense in that midfield today. Um, Despite his counterpart being pretty awful. Yeah, not the best game for Enzo Fernandez, but for Caicedo, again, another consistent 8 out of 10 performance to go along with Cucurella's 8 out of 10 performance. But yeah, everyone in the good category, I would say, is 7 or higher. I'd say Josh was around a 7.5, 8.5. Obviously, one man in the match, so, fair play to him for that. But, 8's for Caicedo and Cucurella. Think, decent ratings for Sanchez and Esteval Willian. Moving on to the mid category, this is where I have some of our mainstay guys. Actually, you see on the left hand side, I have Reece James and Cole Palmer. Yeah, Reece James, just didn't really influence the game that much in attack or defense. Got a yellow card as well. That's why I put him in the mid category. Don't think it was a yellow card challenge, to be honest. I think he should have got away cleanly, but that defended Eze pretty well, but didn't really offer anything in attack. In comparison to what Cucurella was trying to do, taking up those spaces. Obviously, it was Reece James' job to play that right center back role, so you don't expect him to get too advanced. But I would like to see more dynamicism going forward. Obviously, he had some good runs overlapping Pedro Neto. But I just don't think he contributed too much on the game against Crystal Palace. That's why he lands himself in that mid category. Cole Palmer, thought linked up play well, just didn't really get on the ball much. It seemed like Crystal Palace with Adam Wharton were able to mark him out of the game, and I think we needed Esteval Willian pretty early on to, open up Cole Palmer into that fixture, and I think once he did come on, he was showing his influence a little bit more because they had to worry about, another dribbler, another guy who can create other than, two actual out-and-out wingers and Gittins and Pedro Neto. I think Esteval was another creative guy that Crystal Palace knew that they had to pretty much man mark as well. So can't take both Cole Palmer and Esteval out the game. It allows one to come back into the game, and I think Cole Palmer did come back into the game a little bit towards the end. So fair play to him for that. But I do think he should have had a better performance in there. Thought he should have created more, should have played more long balls or switches, which he was really good at in the preseason friendlies. Just didn't seem to do that against Crystal Palace. No one really looked too sharp. So yeah, that's why I have him in the mid category. Enzo Maresca in the mid category as well. I don't think he set us up that great. Attacking wise, it just wasn't very fluid at all. But defensively, I think we were pretty astounded. So, credit on the back end, not much credit on the front end. I do think he was proactive in making those changes pretty early on. With Esteval, with Liam Delap, I don't think João Pedro was quite that good. But yeah, I think he was proactive with those changes, so that's why it lands him in the mid category because you could tell that he set the team up decently to go get a result. It was just we weren't clinical enough with the few amount of chances we got, but I do think at the same time he didn't set us up too great attacking wise. I think he was mainly defensive focused on that counter attack that he set us up, and that's why there's no goals in that game. Liam Delap I thought was bright when he came on, had a half chance, played bully ball against Crystal Palace, which is something that I think we needed the entire game. I think we needed an enforcer in there, someone that could bring the physicality to the Crystal Palace defense that was trying to be physical with Chelsea the entire game, but just didn't seem to happen in that way. Again, Liam Delap had a half chance that he drilled into the ground. Henderson made a pretty routine save on, but do definitely think he was better than João Pedro in this fixture. At least showed flashes and signs of, being a good, number 9, which I don't think João Pedro really did, but we've seen flashes and pretty much everything, the full package from João Pedro in previous games. So not going to judge him too harshly on that. But for this game, I do think Liam Delap was just okay, around a 6.5. Same thing with Chalobah. I think just moved the ball too slow in defense. Obviously, no Levi Colwill. You don't expect Chalaba to be that ball playing defender, but I do think in his absence, Chalaba is one that needs to step up and move the ball pretty quickly. It just seemed like it went side to side too much from Chalaba to Reece James, and then someone from the midfield would drop and then play those passes back to the defense. So it'd go sideways, sideways, up, backwards, sideways, sideways. That was pretty much the rotation the whole game. And I think Chalaba should definitely look for those line breaking passes and playing the ball with his feet a little bit better. And at the same time, I think he did get beat in defense a couple of times that, I'd like to see hindered a little bit. So that's why I have him in the mid category. That's why I have all five of these guys in the mid category. Moving on to the ugly, I have three players and then I have two icons. I have what looks like pretty much waves, but it's fluidity. I don't think the attack was fluid at all. I think it was way too slow, and that's why I have that speed symbol there too. Attack was way too slow. There was no fluidity there, which pretty much meant we weren't able to create any chances, weren't able to get any goals. Nothing hit the back of the net in the opening match day of the Premier League, so a little disappointing there. Definitely something that I think we should anticipate heading over to West Ham in the London Stadium. But yeah, just weren't fluid in attack, weren't quick in attack. The back line was progressing the ball way too slow. It was way too side to side. So yeah, way too slow in attack. Not fluid at all. No one was really intermixing positions. It seemed like we were all pretty much stagnant of where we were. On the players, I'll talk about John Pedro first. I think it's a little harsh to put him in the ugly category, but if we're speaking on that performance, I don't really recall seeing him making any impact on the game, so that's why I put him in the ugly category. But then again, he had no service there because again it was very side to side from defense to defense to defense to defense. So there was no supply for the striker to do anything. There's no supply for Cole Palmer to really create. Um, but nothing really happened there. It was just Joe Pedro trying to give his best go in the limited number of touches that he did have. Shouldn't really amount to anything. That's why I put the performance at ugly, because he pretty much ghosted throughout the entire game. But then again, not really him to blame. It was pretty much the defense playing that slow to blame. And that's why I put that clock symbol up there, because I do definitely think we need to speed the processes of games headed into uh, further fixtures in the Premier League. Enzo Fernandez, I thought, was abysmal in that game. I thought Andre Santos should have come on at halftime. Enzo just did not look up to speed. Don't know if he picked something up from the Club World Cup or anything like that. Just looked exhausted from minute one and did not look interested in playing at all. Touches were bad, passes were bad, wasn't linking up play, wasn't getting in those positions he's used to, wasn't crashing the box, wasn't doing anything of that sort. Yeah, I don't really know what happened there. I don't know if he has a lingering issue, and that's why he didn't feature in the friendly games all too much. I think played 60 minutes against AC Milan and then came off pretty early on. But yeah, I think definitely should have had a better impact on the game, especially for being one of our star players and our mainstay guys. Don't think he had a good performance at all for his standards, or I think probably what was the worst player on the team in that game against Crystal Palace. So, definitely rooting for him to step up in the following fixtures. I think it's something that he'll definitely do. But for this game against Crystal Palace, did not look sharp at all, did not look fit at all. So that's why he's in the ugly category, because he provided no positive impact on the game, and if he did, it was just him losing possession. In terms of impact. Other than that, Jamie Gittins, yeah, just looked raw. Um, I think it's a little harsh to place him there in his, first start in the Premier League. I definitely do think it is, pretty harsh to do that to him. Um, Definitely, feel bad placing him in the ugly category after one game, but at the same time, I do definitely think he could have made a better impact. Just, regulated to the Bundesliga. I think a lot slower of play, a lot of more one-on-ones, and I think this game he was getting double teamed and triple teamed by Palace defenders, which made it very difficult for him to wriggle through those tight spaces that he's used to, and I think that's a main reason why we saw him not have the best performance. Just wanted a little more direct and dynamicism off that left wing, which I don't think he really offered in that game. But fully expect him to pick it up in the following fixtures. We could see if he does start against West Ham, or if they do alter to Esteval Willian, which I actually do predict them to do. But I do think it is a little harsh to bench Jamie Gittins after one match day. I do think that would knock his confidence down a tremendous amount. So maybe we do see him stay, but I do think there is a good player in there. I think he just needs to be acclimated to the Premier League a little bit more. But yeah, wasn't good at all in that game against Crystal Palace. But again, not going to judge him off of one game. If it's been, 3 or 4 months into the season and we just see that level of consistency of bad performances by Jamie Gittens, then I'll speak out on it. But for the first 5 or 6 games, I'm not really going to say anything other than talk about his performance within the game. But I do think he's definitely a player that will succeed at Chelsea, as I do believe in everyone in the squad. But yeah, that is everything. That is the good and bad, or the good, the mid, and the ugly for Crystal Palace nil, Chelsea nil. That is my match review. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, it's Repulse, and I'm out. See y'all next time. Peace.